Hey guys, it's going to be a shorter Easter farm sim. I'm not feeling 100% today. It will show. It will show. The record will show, I suppose. Yellow's unloaded. They're both unloaded. Seems like there's plenty to do here. How you guys doing tonight, by the way? I should ask. Let's get that harvester down. It has been a week. Well, today is Easter Sunday in the year of 2022. And I was hoping to get a lot of stuff done today. Didn't actually work out. I did pick up HBO Max though. I'm just gonna get 1 month in. I wanted to watch things like Tenant and Our Flag Means Death. I didn't get into any of them. I was just so busy today. I did beat Spec Ops: The Line. I bought it and beat it in the last 24 hours. It was a very odd experience. I think that the game was supposed to shock and surprise me, but a lot of the imagery, a lot of the themes, I guess I've already encountered them quite a bit, and they had basically no effect. It was not... I mean, I don't want to say much about what is Spec Ops: The Line. I will... It is a very interesting FPS shooter with a heavy emphasis on story. I think it's on sale now for like $6. I definitely think it's worth playing, as long as you recognize that it's going to be very adult and extremely dark and a lot of horror overtones. And it's never really clear what's going on. Other than that, I don't want to talk about Spec Ops too much because I didn't know it was happening basically right until the end. And it was very interesting coming up with theories and making guesses as to what was really going on. Shit was absolutely wild. Other than that though, there was like the attempts to scare you were not really... Maybe I'm just burdened by I don't know, inoculated by horrifying images. They definitely want to make you look at depictions of dead bodies in various different conditions of death and various different ways that they died. And if you can't handle that, you probably actually shouldn't play Spec Ops: The Line. It's a bit more introspective than other shooters that I've seen. I'm also playing a lot of Battle Brothers. If you watched any of my recent content, you know it's basically all I'm talking about. I managed to do a mission today that I was sure was gonna start with combat. It didn't have any combat at all, and I got to steal a legendary weapon called the Crypt Cleaver, which is a two-handed cleaver, which I've never seen a two-handed cleaver before, and I put it on my best attacker. And he's good enough that he can get 2 attacks with it, which is really rare for a two-handed weapon to get 2 attacks. So it's actually like one of the best weapons I've ever encountered, especially for the level I'm at. It seems like it's really good. There's definitely, when I had the champion sword hit stronger for sure, absolutely. But I don't think it was as accurate as the Crypt Cleaver, and it definitely could only do one attack. So I think that the guy currently wielding the Crypt Cleaver is probably going to just become a Cleaver Master. Like, I have a pretty interesting company this time around. My first company, I got involved in a lot of brigand fights. People that you have to fight in the forest at like night, but also through very narrow corridors, and they outnumber you with ranged. And I think I lost a lot of bros doing those fights. And now I just skip any fight to fight beasts, like wild animals. And I skip any fight to fight bandits. And it does mean passing up on some pretty lucrative contracts. But fighting beasts means giving up on loot. So the reason you fight people is because you can take the people's stuff when they're dead. And normally people's armor is totally trashed unless you make a good attempt to recover it. Although I do have this really sick triple flail that I picked up from the south, that whenever you attack, it attacks 3 times. So if you can hit somebody in the head once, you'll hit them all 3 times in the head. And that's usually enough to kill them outright, just from like head injuries, right? Like every time you get hit, there's a chance that you'll take an injury. And if you get hit in the head repeatedly, there's like a stacking chance you'll just die outright. And head armor typically is a lot less than the armor you would get off of someone who was like a chest piece. I'm not quite at the position where my bros are strong enough to surround somebody with daggers and like stab them to death using the impale command, which ignores the armor and attacks your health directly. And so since you get armor based on a % chance of how much of it remains, right? So if the armor is 100%, you 100% get it at the drop. But if you've somehow killed somebody by dealing 50% damage to it, but 100% of their health, like for instance, if you have a weapon that does low armor piercing and you just keep beating somebody over and over again, or say if you kill somebody with a headshot, you'll have a 50% chance to loot a armor that's 50% damage. So I need to get in a position where I can start picking up armors that are more than 100 stamina, because I'm currently just below that. I'm like at the 80s. So if I want to transition to mid game, I am going to need to get a bunch of daggers, which I don't have, or knives, and then find someone really strong during a contract that I'm otherwise well in control of, back them into a corner, surround them on all sides, except that I might lose a bro from the risk, and then just start, you know, Julius Caesaring them. But if you want to be a merc, Big Spoon and Connor Hughes were right. You got to get the equipment. The equipment is worth more than some bros. Not all bros. They were wrong that they said equipment is worth more than bros, but there are a lot of bros who are like level 1 or 2, or they just don't have very good stats. You can leave them. There are some bros who you can never leave because they're your brothers. They're your battle brothers. I actually had an event that was really good. So I have a miner in my crew who left the pickaxe behind to pick up an actual axe by the name of Anton. And he's had a couple of events so far that set him up as like the company's... He's the guy that gets dunked on by the company. But then he got his own event that was like, he's the one that takes the hit for all the other bros. And as a result, every member of the company except for Anton got like a bonus. They all became happy for knowing that Anton was doing well, and they all got like a bonus resolve for knowing that he was doing well. Because Anton was like, hey guys, I know you don't, and I know that, you know, I do a lot for the company, but I love you guys because you're my brothers. You're my battle brothers. And everyone was like, oh my god, you're my brother too, bro. We're all bros together. It was a good event. This game is excellent. Well, I also did FGO Smasher Pass as my first VTuber collab. Even though I'm a PNG tuber, I collabed with a real VTuber. There were no comments on that video, which is very unfortunate. I don't know how much people liked it. It got more likes than normal, and it certainly got views, but I don't really know how people felt about it, so I don't know if I'm gonna do it again. I also got to play some Crime Site, which I'm bad at, but it was super interesting. So if y'all are up for more like social deduction, alternative Amon Gus. What's going on here? My pipe is out. Need to get this oats. This is oats, right? I think so. I think it's fair to say it's oat season. It is indeed a season of oats, which means it needs to be taken somewhere. And that place it's taken to is La Factory Cereal. What will be joining honey and raisins. And it's that one, huh? All right. So now we're gonna reverse like this. Oh, and there's a few $100s in damages. And a new paint job. Nope, and I did the same mistake again. That's fine. We're just gonna contra-rotate. Crime Site is a new game. That's probably why you didn't recognize it. It just came out that day. The day of the collab was less than 24 hours from release. Why am I going so slow? Oh, I'm going so slow because the tractor is still engaged. That's why. And we're gonna pull this bad boy off. Man, so like I made some serious mistakes today for Easter. I didn't eat anything for breakfast because I thought I would have a big Easter luncheon. And then I cooked Easter luncheon. Now, let me be clear here, like I bought a kit from Jansen's, which is a local deli, which is right by the house of President Joe Biden. It's his personal deli, and they sell the Joe Biden sandwich there. Jansen's is dope as hell. I got this delicious Jansen's meal kit from my mom, and she helped me cook it, and then I ate too much. It was too much. It was like stuffing and turkey. My mom wanted all this extra stuff. So it was overwhelming, actually. I got the itis, I think. That's what they call it, right? The itis. I feel slow and my body feels extremely warm. I think my blood sugar is probably skyrocketing. The mashed potatoes were the best mashed potatoes I've ever had. But I also happen to know that they put 3 tablespoons of butter into like 1 cup of mashed potatoes. So those mashed potatoes were buttery and creamy and smooth, and also mostly butter. What the heck is happening here? What? They were so good though. Garlic mashed potatoes. So much butter though, guys. Like, that's a lot of butter. They must have been like 50% butter by weight for 1 cup. I mean, I think you could probably fill a dry cup measure with 3 tablespoons of butter. But you know, Julia Child said Put a shit ton of butter in it. I don't think she said it exactly like that, but she definitely said, butter, I put that shit on everything. What else happened this week? Still trying to track down my sister. She contacted me out of nowhere and then disappeared, which is very like her. I mean, it's the most my sister thing I've ever heard. Oh, looks like we got some work over there, but that's a problem for another time. Right now, we're serializing. Oh, Jesus. I'm stuck on this lamppost. Still grinding on the lamppost, huh? I would say that this cereal factory is not in a location. Where are all the other farm? It's Easter, bro. That's where all the other farmhands are. It's Easter. They're with their families. I'm the only farmhand that does not spend holidays with their families, my friend. These gentlemen have wives and kids or girlfriends. Okay, tip that and then overload. I don't know how I'm gonna get this other half in here. Do I drive around back? That's not really safe though. Do I drive around the other way? That looks open. Yeah, a little corner peek tells me it does look open. All right, let's give it a shot. Side. Overload. You forgot it was Easter. Well, it's only one Sunday a year. Celebration of spring. Some have said it's the most wonderful time of the year. What the heck? How did that happen? I must have gone beyond the bounds of full screen. Alright, how full is this thing? Oh, pretty damn full. There's absolutely no way the raisins are ever going to catch up with that. We're going to dump a shit ton of corn in there. Yeah, I only do blackberry honey episodes on holidays to mock people. It's a special reward for people that I straight up troll. Lawson and James mostly, they're the only ones who really watch the series. And apparently Jim. I don't know what the appeal is. It's not well written. The art is nothing special. It's your typical super gay lesbian. The main character is actually a moron. She's like, hey, I wonder if the stars that I see are the same as the stars that my family sees. And in the next sentence, she's like, my family lives 20 miles away. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the same stars. Bro, you'd have to live in another hemisphere. You live in England. You live in England. Oh, thank you. I do try to keep it fresh, you know. Keep it dramatic, and like everything I do, I try to keep it bootylicious. Sometimes I do try to keep it fergalicious, but I often feel like I fail to reach that standard, you know. When it's fergalicious, you know. You know. Because when it's fergalicious, you'll be up in the gym just working on your business. He's my witness. It seems like Coachella happened. And you know, I want to be curmudgeonly, but I actually don't feel curmudgeonly about it. Like, it doesn't seem like something I would enjoy. People are out there dressed in like pseudo bohemian, like chic, and they're gathering in a large number of small groups and just having discussions and partying publicly. And I feel like coronavirus isn't over. I think we still need to recognize that. Actually, I shouldn't be here. I need to get turned around. But people are pretty vaccinated. The case rates are down. And I guess there's really nothing I can do. Like, there's no way to make people recognize the seriousness. They've made a calculation on their own, and I think it's time for me to just accept that some people have a different tolerance for risk than I do. But that's way beside my point. My point is, I don't mind these people having fun their own way. It doesn't look like something I would enjoy going to. But that doesn't mean that I don't understand that these people would like to have fun. I don't mind concerts, and boy, Utada Hikaru? Is that their name? The one who did the intros for Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. They were out there just fucking killing it. Holy shit. It's been like 15 years, and they're singing it like it was yesterday. That was clean. I guess you could say it was simple and clean. What the fuck is happening with this? With my overlay? What the heck? I wish my overlay was simple and clean. I mean, I guess technically it is simple and clean, but it's also being a huge pain in my butt right now. Okay, what am I looking for? I am searching for the Baylor. It's hard to let you go. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Da, 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 da. Wait, I have to go to the ones that I own. Yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go. I wasn't always so resistant to going outdoors. Social, maybe. Almost certainly, but once I was very outdoorsy. No longer. It's not my thing anymore, but I don't have anything against people enjoying the outdoors. I understand the appeal. Does the pickup need to be lowered? I feel like it definitely needs to be lowered. Is that finally working? Yep, there we go. It seemed like people were having fun at Coachella. It's not for me, but I can appreciate that they were having fun. I'm glad they enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't like being around large groups of people, ever. It wasn't always this way. It just happened one day. I realized couldn't do it anymore. But it's fine. I've adjusted. You know, it can be tough. Sometimes I have to Google is actually a pretty good companion. So Google will tell you how busy a location is based on anonymously scrubbed cell phone data over an average of time, and will tell you like how busy a store is both normally and currently. And so you just kind of plan around times where stores have low numbers of people in it historically, and you chart your path across town using that data. It's a little bit more involved, I guess, than some people's day, but you know, like, I don't really have any control over having anxiety or nervousness. I don't think I could call it anxiety. It's maybe not that bad. It is a little unusual, I'll admit, but I've definitely seen people do weirder things. All right, now it's time to slam a multi-thousand-dollar machine into a slightly less multi-thousand-dollar machine. Yeah, that was a terrible plan. All right, let's just get it tilted enough that it's got tires on the ground, and it might actually solve itself. It did indeed solve itself. Let's move it out of the way and pull back La Tractora. I don't think that actually means tractor. I think that might mean spider. Well, there was no Oath of Endostill this week, which is always sad. I really like playing and people really like watching it, but we are gearing up for a very interesting arc. The search for the victory at La Mancha, the search for Tuelos Los Dolos. We've got it all. We've got ancient Spanish treasure. We've got, well, we have ancient Spanish legends. We've got hidden Portuguese treasure. We've got battle tech. We've got a missing husband. We've got drama and intrigue and romance. A young man now moving into his middle years, trying to find a wife and settle down on a world that hates him. We have mechs. And mechs are a man's romance. That is a term from Japan that I think is true. When men want romantic novels, they don't want Scottish Highlanders, Out of Time, and Outlander nonsense. Well, that's a bit harsh on Outlander. I mean, it is an award-winning series. Diana Gabaldon is absolutely rolling in cash. But it's not for me, right? Mechs are a man's romance. So there's nothing nonsensical about Outlander. Insofar as, let's say, Evangelion or Gundam are nonsense. Although, now that I'm saying it out loud, Evangelion and Gundam actually are nonsense. But they're the kind of nonsense we welcome into our lives, that we want when we want romance. Giant mechs, relationships, they go hand in hand. Look at Titanfall 2. The whole storyline is about a man and his mech and the relationship they have together, and about Matt Mercer's flawless voice acting performance. Oh. I was actually watching Tiger and Bunny, which is a pretty not great anime on Netflix, at the suggestion of Pondo, the Mad, and Cotton, and the villain is definitely Liam O'Brien. I heard Robbie Damon in there for a bit, but he goes in and out. I can't remember which character he is, but for sure Liam O'Brien is the villain, which makes sense. He almost always plays villains and everything. In Star Wars Rebels, he was the generic Imperial officer on Star Destroyers who would just be like, all right, find the rebels. It's me. I'm vaguely British. That was not a very good Star Wars or vaguely British accent. My apologies. I apologize to all of Britain, especially Wales. I want to apologize twice to Wales because that's the only part of Britain I really hugely respect. The other parts of Britain I only apologize once to. I mean, look, when you're throwing dragons on your flag, you're doing something right. That's all I'm saying. No dragons, no maidens. It's just how we roll. Dragons are a man's romance. That's true, but not in the same way. People really ship dragons nowadays. Like Zentreya. Yes, all of Wales will hear of my apologies. It's like that scene from Braveheart where all of Ireland shows up. For Stephen, Prince of Ireland. It's my island. Oh, what a tale. What a story. What a time. VHS was alive and well. DVD was but a bare glimmer in the eyes of mankind. What's that alternative to DVD that looked like it was gonna win? The one, Betamax, the one that was fighting not even DVD but CD-ROM. My goodness. And somehow Betamax lost. CD-ROM and DVD would go on in history, and less than 10% of people could tell you what a Betamax even is. Some have said it's the better format, with better data compression. And yet, it didn't have the numbers behind it. It didn't have the drive. It didn't have the people or the widespread acceptance. It also didn't have the Sony PlayStation. What a system, man. The PlayStation. I remember the day when they would do PlayStation demos and you went into the store and you could play. They would never let you do RPGs. I think probably they still do that because RPGs, you know, have opening cutscenes and like 40 minutes of explaining nonsense. No. What they did was they would put Metal Gear Solid out. Everything was 3D. It was crazy. There was drama. There was action. There was espionage. America. Russia. Shooting. Sneaking. It looked amazing. It actually still looks great. Like, Metal Gear Solid has held up well. Its revivals have all held up well. Chris has joined me on Discord. I don't know how long he's been here.
Just rolled in, brother.
Welcome to post-Easter, since it must not be Easter there anymore. It's just another manic Monday.
Easter Monday. Still
I've never heard of anyone say Easter Monday.
Well, most importantly, it's a public holiday. That's the only reason people care at this point.
Well. Easter Monday. What's that called? Observed? Yes, that's when the federal government observes a holiday on a regular day.
Yep.
Just another manic Monday. It appears it's not, though. It seems like it's a special Monday. Well, Chris, I hope you're happy. Grimdark James is going to be doing a Battletech grinder session. You and the rest of your friends all encouraging him to be a GM and come up with bloodthirsty stories. Now he's gonna kill all of us for like 12 hours straight. He's gonna kill my whole community. There's like 5 people willing to jump in. They don't understand. James is gonna kill all of them over and over again. Yeah, he is ruthless.
He's a ruthless son of a bitch.
I've played Divinity with him. He's a real sicko. I'm like, maybe we should let them live, and James is like, no, mate, let's choose the option where we kill them and we take all their clothing in that order. I'm over here talking to animals, and James is just like, okay, what if we erase you from existence? He eats people's souls. casually, not because he has to, but because it's fun.
He's a good man. He's a good man.
Well, that may be true. We're not really displaying that well in this conversation, though.
I mean, he did infect one of your listeners and put them in peril. So he's really brought it into the virtual world, into the real world.
I feel like I'm always in peril when James is GMing. He's literally told me outright that he's going to kill Andrew Kyron before Warhammer's over. I literally quit one of my characters. I was like, all right, I'm retiring Nero. And he's like, you can't retire Nero. Nero will be back at the end of the show. I'll kill Andrew Kyron. I'm just like, what? This is so unfair. What did Andrew Kyron do?
Because it's 40k and he's a psyker. Like, they are literally burn hard, burn bright.
But Andrew Kyron is so nice to people. He's always trying his best. He's filled with hope. I got the artwork for him now. Is James really gonna kill a character who just got artwork? I mean, he looks so tired but happy. He's there to serve in the name of the Emperor.
He will serve by burning bright and burning hard.
Have you actually played the RPG Burn Bright?
No, but why do I feel like I've heard of it? Is this...
It's a Roll20. They sponsored it.
No.
It's supposed to be like, play truly non-human races, right? Like sentient ooze or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know that much about it. I wasn't interested.
You evolve during it as well?
I have no idea, man. You tell me.
I feel like I've listened to a
I was going to ask you about Burn Bright.
Nope. What else is going on in here?
Survive the James. You can't survive the Game Master, though. As you know, the Game Master is a unquestionable authority. Anything they say is absolutely true. I still remember having a discussion with someone on the internet who was like a big time rage podcaster, and I was like, hey, if you don't like that rule, you can just... Or no, it was about backstory and lore. And I was like, yeah, if you don't like the backstory of a tabletop RPG, you don't have to use it. You can just homebrew your own. And they were like, no, you can't do that. You have to you have to use the lore that's available. And I was like, you really don't. I mean, there was no lore for D&D, and that's why we got Greyhawk and Dragonlance. They were like, no, you're absolutely wrong. And then literally like dozens of people showed up in my comments to be like, hey, I'm from this guy's podcast, you're wrong, and you're digging yourself a hole. You're gonna be banished from the tabletop RPG community. And I was like, what?
Well,
I suggested a magical girl game, and they were like, yeah, I don't really have time to read that. I only take magical girl game suggestions from people who are women. And then a woman suggested it, and they were like, well, no thanks. And I was like, holy shit, this dude is the biggest hypocrite of literally all times. That exchange took place in less than 2 hours. They went from, I'll only do it if a woman suggests it, to, oh, I see a woman suggested it, well, no thanks. Holy shit, dude. God, that was like 5-6 years ago. I don't know, man. Rage podcasters and like people that just shock value stuff, they're so weird. I don't understand why people follow them. But what do I know? I'm a VTuber simp. I've just been super disappointed with a lot of VTuber content lately. It's going downhill.
Well, I mean, I guess it links into the last conversations when I found a guy that I was listening to, and I was just like, man, there's some rage. What's this constant Duncan going on in this in this group, and then you're like, oh no, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Doug Fest is a thing.
My goodness. I mean, I have a former friend who is a rage YouTuber who is in court right now being sued. And I can't even imagine somebody suing me over making YouTube videos. I was shocked to get a YouTube copyright strike. I can't imagine someone wanting to take me to court over something I did or said. I have to be really careful about what I say on the air because I'm prone to exaggerating from time to time. But to be a member of IEEE, the Electrical Engineering Corps, I took an oath to not speak untruth slanderously about other people. So even people that I absolutely hate and loathe, I make sure that everything I'm saying is true, which does mean I don't get to do my usual exaggerations in an attempt to be funny. It does mean that I can't posit possibilities. I can only say what I could prove, but you know what? I do my best to follow the oath and code, even though I may be the only person in the entire fucking world who still follows an engineering code of ethics. I don't know if anyone's actually read it when they signed it.
Well, most of the engineers that I've known, they were way too drunk at the time, probably. It's a common understanding of.
There really are two kinds of engineers. One is the guy who works alone and hasn't talked to another human being in like 4 years and is just sitting there doing math and like playing with Legos, and the other is the like raging alcoholic who's good at talking to people but also solves problems in their spare time. I don't know how we've attracted only these two.
But you do those ones that are like who are a bit more introverted and stuff like that. I feel like also when they get out in the social situation, it's like getting a guy out of a deployment. Like they don't have the conditioning nor the social cues to be able to cope with the adding of social lubricant.
That's true. I mean, look, I'm not a particularly good social engineer. One of my tasks used to be to translate engineering talk to clients so that they could understand what the hell was going on, right? Because marketing will always tell you whatever they think will make them the most money. And that might not be true. And plenty of people, you hear them say, we're going to improve X performance 10%, and they hear, you're going to improve performance 10% across the board. Let's go tell our stockholders. And you need somebody to stand there and go, absolutely not. You cannot say that. That is not true. We have improved performance in one aspect by 10%, and even that's generous. You got to round up to get to that 10%, first off. You cannot say that.
Best case scenario.
Yeah. It was a lot of relying on Star Trek, The Next Generation, where like every episode would end up being an allegory. They'd be like, oh, it's like when you flush a toilet. And then Picard would be like, yes, exactly. No, Jesus, why does he sound like Sean Connery? All right, but you get it, right? Like there were a lot of The Next Generation episodes that were like, this complicated situation, now that we've explained it as, an allegory, it's now much easier to understand. That's what social engineers have to do, which is not the technical term, by the way. I forget what it's called. It's been so long since I did it, but there is a term for engineers who have to talk to regular, normal people, aka the clients.
Normos.
Well, I mean, normally I guess you just call them corpos, since that's probably who you're working for. I don't know. I gotta get back in the engineering game. It was weird to be scouted, though. I've never really gotten scouted before, except by Duke University. So getting scouted by a nuclear laboratory was pretty weird. Unfortunately, they were looking for me locally, and I don't live anywhere near it. And I include in all my contracts now that if you need me to move out there, you pay for it, because I've moved out to a job before and I paid for it on my own, and the company dropped me after like 2 months, and so now I have a 1-year lease and I paid to get out there, and now I gotta go home. I paid more getting out there and coming back than I made with the company. So I make sure that all my contracts have that as a minimum.
Yep. Where's your buy-in? You feel like there's something in me that's worth something that you want, and it's like, well, put your money where your mouth is.
I don't even know what I'm worth anymore. I'm a washed up engineer, man. What do I tell them? I spent I spent coronavirus making YouTube videos basically full time. Call that project management and production, video production. Tutorial, social. I'm sure I can work some social buzzwords in there. Maybe not off the fly here real quick, but yeah, I don't know. I gotta get a good CV, a strong CV together. And avoid... What's that one that my stalkers followed me on? LinkedIn. I have to avoid LinkedIn.
What do you mean, avoid LinkedIn?
I have people who threaten to find my mother because they knew my full legal name. They found my mother through my LinkedIn account and were like, hey, I'm gonna go meet your mother. And that was the day where I bought my first firearm. Yeah. Yeah, guy's name was Enmeh. N-M-E-H. EVE Online.
He did some stuff.
I mean, I think he was really mad that I trolled him for years. But, you know, it's one thing to troll somebody. It's quite another to threaten to meet up with their mother, right? And cyberstalk them.
You know those moments where, like, you hear about a thing or you watch, like, you know, a Florida man thing and it's like, I just don't know where, like, the link between what I'm watching right now and what would need to happen in my life to get to there. You know what I mean?
No, I disagree. You seem like you have a solid life cycle rotation, right? You know, you are working on a base, assumably. You and your partner vacation regularly. You have set schedules, but your life could be upended very quickly by small incidents adding up. You know, every Florida man has nothing to do with Florida. Florida men occur everywhere in every culture. It's just that Florida is the only one that allows those incidents to be published like that. Almost every other state does not publish them.
Isn't it also something to do with the way the law is written in Florida about naming people?
Yes.
So you can report as long as you don't actually give
Correct.
the name of the person.
And that is why it seems to occur more often than Florida, but that crazy shit happens everywhere in the world. Now,
1,000%.
different availability of weapons, different availability of drugs, right, and of secondary activities will change what exactly Florida man's your local area. But Florida men exist everywhere, and the Florida women, and the Florida children too. It's like sand. It's coarse. It's everywhere.
Through an hourglass? Sorry.
Doesn't take much to push somebody to do some weird shit. You'd be surprised how much of our lives involves working automatically with little to no conscious input. It is difficult for people to make active decisions normally. You may think you're thinking decisions all the time, but I mean, this is absolutely proven science that you can be tricked into doing things. There were actually reports yesterday about a new AI that's being trained to help salespeople manipulate humans into making emotional buying decisions. It listens in on a call and then alternatively transcribes what you're saying and matches it versus a matrix of professional, unprofessional words in order to get an idea of like where you're from and who you are and like what your interests might be. And a second part of the AI splits off the sound and checks your like possible emotional states, and the two of those together are I want to say collated, but that's probably not. Anyway, the AI in totality looks for ways you might be emotionally manipulated into buying a product and suggests those to the human operator that is working with it to use against you. That's incredibly scary. And you know, it's technology that exists now. We've had all of that technology, we just haven't put it together to use it like this before, and it's out there in the world. So I think you should expect something like a revolution in pop-up ads over the next decade.
Well, surely they know.
Home phone calls. Something like Kirby vacuum sales. I don't know if you guys have that.
No.
Door-to-door salesman.
I mean, yeah, like the concept.
Just imagine going to buy a phone in store and having an idea of what you want, and then all of the salespeople on the floor being assisted on their tablets by an AI to push you into buying the most expensive model at the worst pricing plan for you. Imagine something much smarter than you analyzing your every move and instructing people on how to defeat you. That's what we're looking at in the near future. So anyway, my point is that a number of people don't really make a huge number of conscious decisions. So you'd be surprised how easy it is to suddenly find yourself in a situation where you don't know how you got there. I mean, there's a lot of credence behind the fact that two people will find themselves with a weapon between them, and then one person will say, well, it went off and I don't know how it happened, because they don't consciously remember using the weapon, whether it's a gun or a knife. There was no conscious choice on their part. The subconscious brain did it, but we hold them, the conscious part of their brain, responsible for that. Is that weird? I think so. But there are also people that do that and they very consciously do it and try to lie about it. So I don't know.
There's also those that have the autonomous responses, which is they're trained to do it.
Well, sure, but even then, if you're trained to do it, that does mean you've surrendered the choice to do such a thing. Right? Now you've been trained, you're essentially programmed to do it.
You've programmed and you've allowed yourself before the action, because that's the same thing as not driving into a ditch when you know there's a ditch there.
Sure.
Like, you don't consciously go, I'm not driving with a stitch today, but you still don't do it.
I agree.
But that gets into the semantics area, which is a lot of problems with conscious thought. There's a lot of semantics.
Conscious thought's rough, man.
And also, hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm still playing a little bit of Night City while I still could because my son was still up, so I don't like being on the headset when I can't see what he's doing.
I see.
My wife is out at a sort of a wake for a departed friend / birthday party for a friend that's still with us. A bittersweet situation.
Listen,
Complex.
plenty of people do choose to breathe consciously, by the way. Haven't you watched anime, specifically Demon Slayer? Conscious breath choices. On the other hand, in all seriousness, many swimmers choose conscious breathing, as do some forms of martial arts encourage conscious breath choice. And, I mean, as long as we're talking about people with weapons training, snipers choose to breathe consciously. In order to take the shot, you want both your breath and your heartbeat to be at a low point so that there's no motion when you pull the trigger. It's just totally still.
Oh, it's in your body's functions.
Now, I mean, I agree with you that a lot of people, and even the people that do know how to consciously breathe, still choose or don't choose to automatically breathe a lot of the time. But I mean, there are a number of monks who would claim that they breathe consciously at all times and that they have given up true sleep in exchange for meditation. How true is that? I don't know. I guess a medical doctor would have to say, but it's no surprise that a lot of meditation starts with conscious breathing. Actually, conscious breathing is a good way to immediately up your heart rate. Taking like 3 huge breaths is medically proven to get your heart rate slightly up, increase your blood pressure slightly, get a lot of juice flowing all of a sudden. It's also an excellent response to an adrenaline dump. I've done a horrible job here. This looks like garbage. I would prefer people don't immolate themselves, thank you. I'm strongly in the non-immolation camp. What about you, Chris? You an immolation fan?
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one. I'm sure there's use cases.
That's the classic anime villain, though, right? For a lot of Americans, Rurouni Kenshin is one of the first animes that came out, and the ultimate antagonist of Rurouni Kenshin, or at least the one that like the big villain for most of the series is what was this guy's name? Shishiro something.
Yeah, it was just something that the first part of the name sounds right. The rest of because it's been too long and I didn't really.
I mean, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's a dude who was set on fire and like lost most of his skin, and his fighting style was the gunpowder mummy. Yeah, exactly. Like
exploiting the fact that he is damaged, so no one else would want to get near him.
That's a classic bad guy archetype. Is like the dude who was burned comes back as the burner. It's a subgenre in pirate fiction of like the boarding pirate with the bombs who's like missing an eye and got a peg leg, but now he's like a hardcore bomb throwing expert.
Turn my weakness into my strength.
Okay. Well,
You gotta say it all dramatic like.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, you say that, but I feel like it's also kind of just if you work in a profession and there's some likely disastrous outcomes in said profession, you might end up with an injury that is common across your profession. You know, just go look at anybody that works in forestry or farming and just start counting fingers or missing digits.
Oh, please. I prefer not to.
Logging will get you. My dad has about probably 5 pounds of metal in his fingers from back in the day doing his cable skidders.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many small burns from cooking.
But does it not make you stronger? Like you could
No.
pick up plates and people were like, "My God, that's so hot." It's like, no,
No.
it means nothing to me.
I mean,
If you,
you
burn
don't. You don't.
neurons out.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You don't actually
fire
combust.
does not inoculate you against more fire, with the exception of if you burn your nerves off, at which case
Scar tissue.
you have a life-threatening injury at that point. Like by the time that's happened, you got a 3rd-degree skin burn and you got way more problems.
Secondary
Listen,
infection.
I don't like the classic berserker archetype of like my rage makes me stronger, because I don't know about you guys, but my rage makes me weaker, absolutely. And I don't mean physically. I mean, I make terrible decisions when I'm enraged. It's a bad idea to be super angry.
I think that falls back into the realm of what you've taught your body to do. Like, if you've taught yourself to rage, then, you know, you're going to be more effective than somebody that's like a normal person.
I don't
But
know
in
about
in
that.
situations like that, too, the archetypal D&D berserker isn't what berserkers did. They went out to die because they were freaking psychos.
I mean, it's not that they were
didn't die, they were
psychos.
surprised and happy, and they'd go out and do it again until they finally finished themselves off.
I mean, I disagree with that. I think that there's a lot of allegory between the like shell-shocked warrior, right? You go out, you see some shit, you experience some things, and then you just you don't really want to come back. Maybe that would be a reason to become a berserker. But also, like, there's some form of like drug use and even self-hypnosis going on where people convince themselves that to be a man was to be a berserker. That sort of crap.
There's a lot of religious tones there too, because you know they had some form of drugs, because it told you in some of the sagas that people were made that way. Like, some of them weren't going into it like, oh yeah, I want to do this. They're going, if you want to not be killed by me, you're going to do this ritual with you, and then you go out there and kill 50 men before you die, or die, whichever one comes first.
The Gias. One of my least favorite parts of Ireland. I like a lot of Ireland. What am I looking at here? Are you scooping up the hay? I'm about to slam into that and destroy it. Do you want me to go around it?
No, I'm just getting up the loose microscopic little bits that you're never...
Oh, well, see, the cultivator destroys it as it goes over it.
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, you're not bailing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, not this stuff. I mean, you know, I appreciate the effort, but I didn't realize the cultivator destroyed it until I was already doing it. We certainly could use some fertilizer follow along.
Alright.
And if you would rather do some forklifting, we need somebody to head on down to the dairy factory and push the dairy products out of the control zone, just so that new dairy products can be processed.
Working on it. Actually, I do need to buy a fork for this stupid thing.
I mean, we have tons of forklifts, it's just that they don't work with half of our tractors. We have like a forklift tractor, and someone keeps taking the forklift off of it, and I'm just like, oh my god, which one can actually use the forklift?
And then there's like, I know I bought a fork, and it's like, yeah, you bought one for a skid steer. This is a tractor.
My
This is a front
god,
loader.
I know.
It's like, but they're identical looking.
I know.
How could they all have different hitches? We've been doing this for a while now.
I know. This is either week 39 or 40. Episode 44 will mean that we've spent half of our time playing 22. Farming Simulator 22 rather than 19. We've been playing this for a long time. A calendar year. It's the longest going server. Satisfactory actually finally ended this week.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't get on more this weekend.
No, it's fine. It's fine. So I got to the point where everything was automatically making, you know what I mean? And if I just let it run, it would work. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just let it run for like 72 hours and it finished. The alternative would have been to spend, you know, like 4 or 5 hours every Friday for like the next 20 weeks. And I would have been, it would have been shorter in time because I would have built more stuff to build more products, to build the end stuff faster. But I realized I could just let the server run and it would automatically do it for me. And the great news is that the 18th in Britain, which was a few hours ago, was when the payment for the server would happen. So if I finished it today, I wouldn't have to pay for a whole extra month. So my calculations were off by a few hours, but it did actually end pretty much right on time.
That's good. I was trying to help, but I took
you
so
did
long
though.
to get
I know you
started.
don't think you helped, but the power was so helpful that I didn't have to go out and like start nuclear power and all that other stuff. It was actually super helpful.
Overly complicated and you wasted time.
Yeah, and I didn't want to like make more oil generators, right? Like all the things you needed to make fuel generators took products away from stuff the main base is making to turn into end game product. So like I would have had to steal from my own processes to do it. Having you do that saved me a bunch of time, and frankly, it's just kind of boring for me to make those. I was doing a lot of like sharpening up my own internal processing, making my supply chains better, closing loops, and more importantly, because I was leaving everything on, I needed to make sure that most of the feed lines had a overflow, like a smart splitter that whenever there was overflow, it would overflow it to a awesome shop. Sorry, an awesome sink.
Awesome sinks, those are the best. Those made it so much easier to keep a line running whenever one piece would get clogged.
Yeah.
I was making tons of Nikit once I got it all figured out. Once I figured out the way to get these sinks in line with everything, oh man, it was done. But it took so long to get there in the first place.
So I went to everybody's base today and got footage of like flyovers, and I'm gonna voice over it and put together like this is satisfactory video. I didn't realize how big your base was, man. You had some sprawl.
Well, that was in the last 3 sessions. Like, I did all of that one Friday where my wife left to go to a friend's house and my mom came pick up my son. So the moment I got off of work, I could get on and tinker, and then I just exploded. And I
followed like a coal line out to the middle of nowhere, and then what I think was your original base, and then like a submerged coal generators for some reason, and then like a black tar sands oil pit. You had a giant internal factory that said hello on it that had nothing inside of it.
Yeah, I never finished that part.
And then it looked like you built stuff up beside Eternal's base. Like, you had some crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, I was headed... I went to Eternal's base early on because I was needing to get the... what is the word I'm looking for? The crystal.
Yeah.
Because I thought I needed crystal earlier than I did. But then I realized, well, I can just go ahead and put crystal and... what is it? Sand? Or sandstone? Concrete.
Silica. Oh, concrete.
Sandstone and concrete on an overflow of a thing to feed me the overabundance of concrete you need for everything in life. And that's what I did, was I just had those. That's what filled up awesome sinks on my side for the longest time. I just let them go. And okay, real quick, where is the building you need me to go use my forks at?
Middle left.
Middle left.
It's above the rail line. It's called the Dairy Perkins Farms.
Okay.
It's between field 35 and 37.
Okay, cool.
Almost missed that one. Actually did miss that one. Never mind. Didn't almost miss it. Definitely did miss it. Well, I think I'm going to let survival servers lay fallow for a little while until that vampire game or any of the other ones I was looking at come out. I'm super excited for that vampire game. They said it'll be out in like June or July. And then maybe we'll do Empyrean again after that. Like a casual Empyrean server that I just leave up all the time and make like a central base that's well defended. And if new players want to jump in, it'll like have a bunch of shuttles to let them go out, mine, and get started. And like manufacturing processes to let them, you know, like get advanced stuff built.
Yeah, like get a blueprint generator that just keeps repeating the building, the ship every time someone takes it.
Oh, I don't know about that. Could you do that in Empyrean? That sounds like Space Engineers.
You could do it. It just takes a while.
I thought you generated blueprints in your own personal inventory.
That's what I mean. It's like you generate it and then you just leave it there.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody just comes and finishes it and takes it. There was tricks, but I didn't.
I liked Empyrean a lot. I feel like Space Engineers could definitely use a lot from Empyrean. Space Engineers had a lot more going on in like mining and some really cool shit that you could do. Like the extending, rotating drills. That shit was amazing.
Well, a lot of the problem with Space Engineers was there was a giant gap in their development. Because it started off when you first ever played it, back when I first bought it.
It was just in space.
On an asteroid, and you were on a platform with a starter ship, and that was it. And that was the game. There was not many asteroids to go to. It was pretty much, you were in an asteroid belt, and that was the end of the game. You know, you were just out and about. And it stayed that way forever. Just, it felt like years. It was just that. And then they came out with medieval engineers, and they put a lot of work into that, and they forgot about Space Engineers for a while. And then suddenly, planets were in. And you could fly to planets. You could start from planets. It was like, it just kind of, like someone had forgotten about their product and one day remembered it.
Well, I was really impressed with Space Engineers in a lot of aspects, except that the max speed cap was so goddamn slow. Empyrean had that same problem, but with Empyrean, the acceleration curve was absolutely fucking punishing.
Once you got enough engines on something, the physics would take you would just drift for a lot longer than you would have to.
Yeah, it really did seem like capital ships were supposed to jump wherever, and you're supposed to scout with smaller ships that could slow down and maneuver. Kind of a pain in the ass, really.
Yeah, taking the big boys onto planets where it was grueling once you hit the wrong planet. that 10G gravity planet.
The fucking 4G gravity planets in Empyrean? Was that the one where you guys couldn't get back up off the ground and like you had to modify your ships from my ship?
I had to.
Oh my god, I remember you dragging yourself along the surface of the Zeraxian homeworld. That was you, right?
Yeah. I had
like
to,
Spoon was crushed to death under the waves.
I was still in my pilot seat. But I had flipped, and there was not enough thrusters to push up from that angle. So I had to go forward until I could hit something to flip me enough up to get me off the ground.
That was
and then I was fine because I had enough thrusters on the undercarriage because I never expected to be upside down on a planet. But I learned that day.
No. My carrier definitely could pull 4Gs upside down. Not well though. It was a little shaky.
Well, the thing is your ship may have looked clunky, but it was clunky for purposes. It was. You did a great job.
I mean, it was expensive as fuck. I didn't make that. That was a blueprint. Let me be clear. That was somebody's workshop. Don't think that I made that thing.
Well,
I just selected it.
Mine were all workshop started, and then I would edit them as needed. Because a lot of people would make ones for Rogue Tech or whatever they called it, whatever their version they called that. But then they would like be 6 editions behind, so that everything had changed. It's like, yeah, this thruster doesn't do what it used to do, man. It's garbage, and you have to upgrade it on the fly.
I remember making like this super good space fighter that was meant to do like atmospheric fighting, but it wasn't so good against bases, and like everyone else is in a tank. And I think, was it Eric and Spoon were in a tank that had like a command mast? But because the way the AI selected targets, it wasn't shooting at the mast, it was shooting at the forwardmost engine. And since they were dug in behind a rock, they were just firing artillery shells from the command mast. And I was like, hey, let me swoop in and help you guys. And like, as soon as I did, every gun in the area started targeting me. And I was just, I was like barrel rolling through the sky, desperately trying to keep my fighter in the air.
They're just plinking it.
Barely being able to knock enemy shields down. And they solidly crawled it. I really want that feeling from Empyrean of going in with like a group of 3 or 4 people and
guns blazing and
tactically clearing a building. It was really cool to be like, all right, we're gonna go to the abandoned hospital and we're gonna find the weird alien masses underneath it and like kill our way down to the core and get some really cool loot. That was fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, I remember when I finally got my personal idea together of the destroyer ship. So I would help you guys hit and skip through to the bottom, and as soon as you did, I just bring in my destroyer ship and start ripping it apart. Just go down to the basement.
It worked.
It was great once we got that figured out, because there's ways to AI it, but it wasn't near as much fun as flying around with your little welder grinder ship.
I remember one time we spent like 2 hours pulling apart a massive base with like 3 or 4 different repair ships, and then the base all collapsed at the same time, and everyone was like running around trying to grab all the parts before they all fell, because once they hit the ground for like 30 seconds they disappeared. Man, we got so much loot. I mean, we built an incredible amount of stuff after that.
So what are these outputs supposed to go to?
Just push them aside. That's all you need to do.
Really?
Yeah, we're not ready to listen. I'm waiting for Holmes to get back. Holmes is the guy who knows when to sell everything. He's got hundreds of hours in the Farming Simulator series. I let him deal with selling those products. For now, they're just gonna sit there in the warm summer sun, curdling. We're just gonna call it aged cheddar,
Is this milk or cheese?
I'm pretty sure it's not how you're supposed to age things. Oh, we take the milk and it gets turned into cheese.
Once we have the places.
I mean, we own a lot of recipe places right now. We own everything we need to make our own cereal. That reminds me, Chris, we did this last week, but what's your favorite cereal? He's gone. We lost him.
Sorry, man. I was on mute. Cereal. Jeez. Look, my staple, because, poor, was good old Wheat Bix. I don't know if you have Wheat Bix over there.
No, but we do have, everyone knows what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
I like how you're like, poor, Jesus, come on, man. This is us.
Poor.
I think most of the people I know
I don't know what your upbringing was like.
Poor.
Lived on a farm that
single mother working on a federal salary.
Yeah. But
I lived in what we affectionately call the South.
Just that whole region, and its region is
most of it's poor in some fashion.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor and ultra rich.
Yeah, there's usually no real good divide there.
Usually someone who works for Coca-Cola.
Yeah, oddly enough, true.
Hey, I lived in Atlanta for many years. I actually just found my Atlanta pictures. I have my Olympic tickets from the 96 games framed on my wall.
Wow.
But
They opened on my birthday, so it was dope as shit.
Fuck yeah.
Wheat bits, huh?
To be more specific, well, yeah, that's what I had to eat.
Yeah.
But occasionally,
If you had the choice.
The choice. I'm a big fan of like the honey nut flavor. So insert
Interesting.
anything that is the honey and the nut flavor, I'm in.
It's actually a lot milder than most people. A lot of people, when they answered that, chose a sugary cereal. The honey nut is an alternative, much less sugary.
Yeah, it's certainly. Well, when you've come from Wheat Bix, mate.
Well, here we've got frosted mini wheats, or wait, yeah, that's basically it. Frosted mini wheats.
Yeah. Basic cornflakes also made an appearance fairly regularly.
Interesting.
But this whole frosted flakes thing, frosted flakes is.
I always thought of frosted flakes as an American thing.
Oh, it is, man. It's no, I don't know anywhere else has got it.
I mean, for us, it's just making shit out of corn, so corn and sugar. Yeah. A lot of people talk about us being the #1 corn producer and the #1 oil refiner, but we also produce hella sugar, bro. That's because we use beet sugar. We refine beets into sugar. Everyone talks about cane sugar. Nah, bro, you're eating beet sugar from America. Man, like raw sugar back in the day, you know, you had to have a special knife that was shaped like half a kazoo or something like that. It was crazy.
Oh, the clippers?
Yeah, it was weird. Sugar used to be very different.
Came into square off like chunks because it was crystallized.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude. We have strongly refined sugar.
Basically ingots.
I
mean, they were just.
I mean, he's right. You have to chip it out, you know?
There was two types that were popular in the 1700s, which was like just almost like an ingot, but kind of squared off, kind of like a Toblerone. And then there was a big cone that looked like some old sewing thread container. And they had these little scissors that were like really strong shears made of steel that you would warm just a little bit and then slice through it to cut you chunks of the sugar to use.
You guys are all making me feel bad. Lawson in chat is saying unfrosted cornflakes. The thing is, I don't eat breakfast cereal, but on the extremely rare occasion I do, I want that hearts, stars, and horseshoes, man. I want there to be marshmallows. I want it to be sugary as fuck. I'll mix like 3 different types together. I like Raisin Bran, man. You want to mix up your bran flakes with like a juicy raisin in there. That shit's wild. Kids today, they don't understand how good they have it with their cereals. I would rather have an orange though, just to be honest. You know, give me a knife, let me slice that thing open, eat it in 4 pieces.
Let this cereal have all the joy that my childhood was missing. Nom 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 nom.
Childhood joy, huh?
Well,
you know, childhood joy is a very post-1950s thing. Even in the 30s, they had children who were working 16 hours a day.
Post-scarcity.
Yeah, it's a very modern concept that children should be happy. And it's definitely a Western world thing. There are a lot of Eastern and African cultures where that is not remotely true.
Mm-hmm.
Also, moving out when you turn 18, that is like an American thing.
Well, it also is born from the fact that our government considers you an adult at 18 now, and you don't have to have kids early because you might die having them.
I don't know, man.
Those all work together to change that kind of thing. Because at some point, someone said he's not ready, and everyone just collectively said, "You know what? You're right. He's an idiot." But 10 years before that,
right. We're better off.
But like 20 or 30 years before that, when they were that age, they were like, "I'm ready."
All right, Lawson is saying his childhood joy is a PlayStation 2 that he took to work over spring break. My God, that makes me feel ancient because I remember Pokemon Red coming out for the Game Boy. Shit, I remember I remember when you could get the Game Boy Color, and that was dope as fuck to play Pokemon on. But the real ace was playing Pokemon on your SNES with a Game Genie and the color extender plugged into the Game Genie. So you'd have Pokemon Red in the color extender, in the Game Genie, in the SNES, so that you could hack the game. But more importantly, you could just play SNES Pokemon on a big screen with color. You didn't need the Game Genie. I didn't need to cheat at Pokemon to be good at it. It's Pokemon. You're just... It's pretty tough to lose.
It was an adventure game that had a lot of child friendliness to it.
I love Pokemon, man. I played Red like 7 times through.
My daughter
Holy shit.
texted me yesterday about it, and I laughed pretty hard because the reason most of my Pokemon games died is because she would overwrite shit.
No.
She's like, "You remember this one you named after me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you overwrote that." And she's like, "Yeah, I just found it." I could bet you did.
I guess I hear that Pokemon Legends Arceus changes Pokemon for the better, and I'm so afraid to approach it. First off, because I don't trust other people's opinions about Pokemon anymore. It's like trusting people's opinions on Star Wars. It's just a bad idea. But
just building yourself up for disappointment.
Pokemon is stale. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I liked Sun Moon and Sword Shield, but it really was, except that the music was absolutely fucking banging, it really wasn't that different than Red or Red Blue. Like, Pokemon doesn't need to evolve its formula that much. And they do a lot of little things, right? But it's mostly the same core gameplay. In the same way that if you picked up a Call of Duty, you basically know exactly what you're going to get. And I've played plenty of Pokemon, so-called Pokemon killers, like whatever that pixel-based one was that came out on Steam like 3 years ago, and people were like, "Yeah, this is going to kill Pokemon," and it died in like 2 weeks. It was not good. Temtem, that might have been what it was called. It was not a Pokemon killer.
I don't even remember that one.
Oh, Henley tried to convince me it was going to be the Pokemon killer. Wow. I'm afraid maybe I don't want to see change, but maybe I do want to see change. I don't know. I would love a fresh Pokemon game that also introduces a new Eevee type and just lets me have a challenge. I'm just going to be honest with you. I feel like Nuzlocke challenge and all that weird shit, I don't know exactly what it is, but basically, like, Pokemon is so easy, people have to hold one hand behind their back in order for any adult to come at you, right? Because I remember back in 2016, maybe even 2015, taking my 3DS with was it Sun Moon, whatever was on the 3DS at the time, under a cruise ship, and I got like a local street pass challenge from some kid who came up to me, and you know, I don't really like kids and I don't like people coming up to me, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll Pokemon you," and I was like, "Listen, kid, I'm gonna beat your ass." And he's like, "No way, I'm a Pokemon master." I was like, "Dude, I've been playing Pokemon since before you were born. I will fucking destroy you." And I did. I played him in one battle, and he was like, "No, how'd you beat me?" And I was like, "Well, my team is all legendaries." He was like, but my
Kid.
Pikachu, and I was like, yeah, okay, what is this, the fucking anime? You think you're gonna beat Rayquaza? Get out of here.
Get out of here, kid.
Mega Rayquaza shows up and is just like, hey, I'm not here to stomp you, you little noob. Look, I get it. People are supposed to let kids win, right? But I'm not this kid's parent. I warned him. I let him know ahead of time not to challenge me.
You stepping up, son? You stepping?
I remember my dad would never intentionally lose to me in Monopoly. That was rough. He was a really good Monopoly player. I basically never won. The only person I could beat was my sister. It was like trying to beat him at Scrabble. Or chess. Oh my god, he was insufferable at chess. He only had one strategy, which was to take the middle and hold it against all costs.
He had perfected it in his own.
Yeah, so I would try new strategies to beat him, but really he would just talk about the statistical analysis. Pokemon banned from competitive play? I mean, get out of here. What am I, fucking Yu-Gi-Oh? My entire deck has been banned from tournament play. Both of them, wasn't it Yugi and Seto's entire original decks are no longer valid in tournament play at this point, with the exception of like Black Eyes Red Dragon. That's about it. I don't play competitive Pokemon. I don't know who I would even battle, you know? The people who are really good at Pokemon, I wouldn't want to face them. Unless Pokemon included like a MMR thing that would place you. But God, don't you just fucking hate MMR games when people are like, yeah, I have 6 accounts. I had to grind a diamond for all of them, and that just makes me think, wow, so a bunch of people who are like silver ranked had to get shit stomped by a diamond player over and over again just so that you could feel great about having a 95% win rate in silver until you finally got to diamond. Like, god damn. That is the worst part of watching streamers, is knowing that they're so much better than their opponents and then they act like they're a big fucking deal. When they're like, oh man, I got like my 3rd Grey Master. I'm like, okay, calm the fuck down. Why don't you just use 1 or maybe even 2 accounts? Why do you need 6, what are they called? Barcode accounts? So where you make a StarCraft account that's just like 16 random numbers? It's disgusting. I hate it. I absolutely loathe the practice. I remember being stuck in CSGO Silver for like a decade. And then I finally got my way out of it, and I rose in rank so quickly once I was facing people who were actually my skill level, and it wasn't just like getting shit stomped by diamonds all the time or eagles or whatever it's called in CSGO. Once I got out of silver hell, I rose to my actual level of skill, which is someone who buys ons constantly until they can afford an op and then fire an automatic sniper rifle consistently without stopping. A fucking troll at FPS game.
I never got into the competitive ones like that, where you actually had to pay and you could grind, and I like the idea of the game itself, and then once I get to that point where it's like, now you got to grind for 600 hours to get this one piece of gear, I'm just like,
no, that's not CSGO.
Yeah, I don't have to grind. I'm just going to play. Like, I played the original CS, and then that was good enough.
You sound like you're talking about something like Valorant or Apex.
I tried all of those just to see if they were my no.
Overwatch
Was mostly because it was fun outside of that.
I
played a lot, and I really enjoyed Lucio because he was the weirdest guy ever for me to play.
That's true.
He was a healer. He was supposed to be a highly mobile healer, and he was useless outside of that highly mobility at times. And that made him fun. But at the same time, Mercy was cool because she could res people. And I did have fun playing Siegfried or whatever his name was. Because just hitting people with that random shield blast thing you can do where you're
The charge
rushing.
slam, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You know, I was in the Overwatch closed beta, first wave, and I remember the first play of the game with that was, his name's not Sigwald, I think it's Reinhardt.
Reinhardt, yes.
He was on the Russian map, and the whole team was on the push for the final point, down the point that's exposed with no back railing. And they were destroying. They had destroyed the entire team, and the Reinhardt showed up and pushed all of them out into the water, and he himself went down. And that play of the game was so fucking legendary. It got like 1 million views. It was incredible. That was a great time for Overwatch. I got my key, and I came back from vacation a day early to get involved in it. That was Halloween week. It was so good. Early Overwatch was incredible. Bastion used to be able to move. And he could only pivot 45 degrees.
Oh yeah, when you went in turret mode.
Yeah. He was a lot harder to use back then, but he was deadly.
Nasty.
Yeah, he was so, like, they lowered his damage and they increased his field of fire.
But man, if you heard that toot noise of his, you just start wanting to run because you're just like, oh crap, where is he? You hear that?
I loved bastioning on the cart. It was so good.
Oh yeah, with the shield and everything. That's what I liked from Team Fortress Classic when they did the engineer on the carts, because the best updates it did for me was they did this one update where you had this hand prop that was, you know, like they have the regular tools, and one of them's a hand that's really small, but it's a robotic hand that lets you have a mini sentry that has a limit that can't be refilled, but when it's destroyed you can throw another one out for metal. So it's very similar to the main one, but it can't upgrade, it can't be refilled, but you can toss it. And it's so much smaller, you can toss it on carts, of all carts. Because eventually they turned off cart turrets. You couldn't put them on there anymore because that was cheesy. But they didn't change it so the little guy couldn't do it. So you can put that little guy on the front of a cart and you just run beside it as an engineer and just have a good time. It was the only time you felt like you were an offensive character.
I actually just rewatched all the Meet the videos, and I have to say, Sniper is easily the best one. He's just like, no, Mum, put Dad on the phone. No, Dad, I'm not a serial killer. It's a job. Oh my goodness. Team Fortress 2. I have like 2,000 hours in that game.
Dude, I don't even know. I haven't looked at it in forever. Let me look.
I played it all throughout college. So good. For $5, it was incredible. Yeah, it was also the reason I got Steam. Hey, Gamer Siren, long time no see. Yeah, we have done a lot of farming.
163 hours on the Steam version.
163 hours. What a newbie. So fresh. What does he even know about the game?
Because I bought Steam version right as the game was basically dying for a few years. And then all the other fun games came out.
I mean, it's still got a huge active community.
Yeah, I pop into it like once every so often. It just doesn't hold me for very long anymore. Because I'm trying to keep up with friends and what they're playing with.
Oh.
I do like to throw in some engineer every so often just to toss a turret. Just
Heavy, man. Heavy. Heavy was incredible.
I am bulletproof.
I absolutely loved Heavy with Doctor behind it.
Classic.
My kill rate for Heavy was savage. It was like 3-1. And I would just run at people and then start the barrel warm up, go around a corner, and just keep shooting constantly.
It was the only way to play. Run and gun. Only one I never got into was Pyro. I never could. I could get down with all the other ones, but Pyro just never felt right. It just wasn't fun.
Pyro is, of course, a soulless abomination. Amore, how did you even get down here?
You summoned me by saying soulless abomination, sir.
Yeah, that is possible.
I've arrived.
You rang. You'd be like, don't put that hate on me, Ricky Bobby.
Oh, you just go to the unfinished section, Amore? Amore. She did. She absolutely did. The door's open, so...
Don't ignore me.
Normally she has to open the door, but since it's already open, she just walks right on in. She knows she's not allowed in there, but she loves the smell.
And she knows she's not supposed to be in there, so...
Well, that's true. I have caught her on the kitchen counter a lot lately.
My son got a cat recently that from a shelter. That she is technically an adult cat, but she grew up fast on the streets type cat. So she is enjoying back to being able to be a kitten again. She's safe now. So we caught her tearing stuff up the other day, and we shoot her, and then she'd look at you like you betrayed her, and then a few seconds later you'd watch her just creeping right back to where you just shoot her from. I was like, okay, we're gonna have words.
We play this game.
There's gonna be water.
Amore has always known how to open doors. She opens them like the velociraptors from Jurassic Park. So she stretches her front paws and her whole body until she gets her front paws on the door handle and then falls forward until her body weight pops the door handle down. She has to do it a few times to open the basement door because it opens in the wrong direction, right? You know, it has to open outwardly rather than inwardly. She usually doesn't have the energy to keep doing it over and over again until she gets lucky. That's why I'm normally safe.
My house has got the rounded knobs, but Tybalt has learned, my oldest cat, the one that's super old, he has learned that if you put your paw under the door and yank on it, it rattles, and eventually someone will come yell at him, and then he can yell back, so he'll get food faster. It worked one time, and he's never stopped. 5 years. 5 years, no stop.
Animals are very intelligent.
He will yell.
Except Amore.
We did a video analysis with a guy about what type of yells he's making. He's making the sound of a dying female cat. Because it just rattles our brains just enough till we do what he wants. So it's not a female cat anymore to him. That's the sound of food needing to be made. And it hurts so much because he just screams it.
They say cats develop a specific language with their owner or people that they're close with.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
Yes,
true.
Amore, I'm talking about you because you're so dumb and you're not cute and no one likes you.
Except the internet.
Unfortunately, Amore developed her special language with her original owner, my mom, so we do not communicate at a acceptable level. Amore.
One might not say healthy.
I mean, she's a healthy cat. The doctor tells me that her body weight is right where it needs to be for being so stupid and ugly and uncute. Yes, you. I was looking through the Guinness Book of World Records for the least cute object ever made, and lo and behold, there was a picture of Amore that I took. Alright, we gotta wrap it up in the next 10 minutes here, because I'm old and tired. And that's how we do things now. Yes, I know that you're there. I can see you. You're not invisible.
Well, our grounds are all prepped and ready for
Fertilization
rolling
and
seeding
seeding, yeah.
Maybe put some fuel in this.
Good time for fueling.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? One more.
Yeah. My battle for PlayStation 5 goes on.
Really, that makes me feel bad because I have my PlayStation 5 and I've gotten so busy with Battle Brothers and Spec Ops The Line that I've forgotten to play any Gran Turismo 7. But Final Fantasy 15 or 16 will be out at some point, and then the PlayStation's back on the menu, boys.
Back on the menu, boys.
What were you getting your PlayStation for? Like what game?
Horizon Zero
Oh,
Dawn.
right. I don't know whether I'm gonna get that one. I really liked the first one, but it got stale as fuck towards the end. I honestly don't know what the rest of the story is gonna be like. Feels like they gotta really stretch to expand upon. The ending was really solid, you know. Feels like it's hard to get anything else in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of just hoping that now it isn't like, well, let's find another AI or whatever.
No, I mean the reason the
kinda
West is forbidden is because there's some sort of biological terrorism thing going on out there. You know what I mean? Like Final Fantasy Origin? No. You're talking about Strangers of Paradise. That's the Dark Souls one. I'm waiting for 16 to come out, not Strangers of Paradise. Strangers of Paradise is weird. Some weird stuff. Weirdo weirdness. 16 is the one where the kid where nations make pacts with the Eidolons or summons or whatever they're called, and some kid accidentally makes a pact with Ifrit, who's like the destroyer of the world. Pretty typical stuff, really. It looks like the game is about two main characters on opposing sides of the war. Could be pretty interesting. 15 was hella good once you weren't in absolute weird ass farming zone. It also took like a decade. How long was 15 in development? It was a long time. Easily a decade. It was so long. I mean, look, it's Final Fantasy. It's not a Final Fantasy game unless it's got a guy named Sid or a woman named Sid. There's got to be crystals and dragons and chaos and darkness and light. You gotta have all, and chocobos and moogles. You gotta have the classic ingredients. And the way that they stack up against each other changes in every game, but you gotta have all the classics. The beginning solidly captured the idea that you're just like four bros going on a road trip, and it slowly revealed that basically the fate of not only your nation but the entire world relied on your road trip going well. But in the beginning, you're just four guys who like to camp out and cook and fish together and listen to music and take pictures and race. Oh, the camping was amazing.
I haven't actually played it since that part was over.
Dude, the cup of noodle quest was incredible.
I got to a point where you're not with your friends, and I was just like, I'll take a break, and then it's been since then.
Oh, dude, the Prompto subquest is rough. There's a DLC where you just play as Prompto the whole time. It is rough, dude. It's so dark.
I liked everything up until that point when I lost all my friends and I was all by myself in no car. I was like,
Your wife dies?
like it's just. I was like,
Jesus,
this
that game is dark.
It's like it goes from fun to being like, well, this is every other Final Fantasy game. This is not this one's thing. I was enjoying the bro time and like I would
Yeah,
just
the
drive
bro
around
time
and
lasts
see
a long time,
how long
though.
it take him to sing, you know?
Dude, taking the Chocobo into the water and it would play the Woodwinds version of the Chocobo theme. That shit, oh, masterpiece. So good. I have to say, that's one of Final Fantasy XIV's strongest points, is that they added Chocobo racing. They all of the mini games like Triple Triad, the Gold Saucer. They did a great job of doing callbacks to all the other games.
Yeah, they did.
I fucking love Triple Triad, except if you go into space and you get the random rule. Holy shit. Space is the worst, guys. And it takes up so much area.
Somebody talk about that.
That was me. I was talking about it. Yeah.
I know. I heard somebody else.
I was talking about it last week.
And it was like they were talking about it too. The same exact like statement. It's like it was so much fun, and then they go, and then you got the random rule.
Yep, that was me. I'm always talking about the random rule. Fuck it. You know what else you should say fuck it to? Is that modern day killers really must hate fun. They're always trying to take people down with knives and guns. Never mind, only one person's gonna get that reference. Don't mind, don't mind. Well, as we slowly wrap up here, I'm gonna check in with my crew to see their tasks, what they have left, but I want to remind you that FGO Smash or Pass is now available on YouTube. You can watch me and my first collab, my first VTuber collab with a new VTuber, their first appearance, as we rate waifus from Fate Grand Order. Would you smash or would you pass? I don't know. Let me know. Go watch it. It will definitely be a waste of 71 minutes of your time. A truly reprehensible use. Spoon says he watched it while doing something else, which I think is how a lot of people watch my content anyway. All right, who is doing something in this game right now that they're almost complete with?
I'm fine with stopping where I'm at. I was just loading butter up onto a trailer and moving it.
Okay, Chris, what do you got?
Made us some money.
I was just gonna feed some chickens.
Okay.
Not that they need it, but the bag's here, so I was like, I'll see.
Really easy to just lift them and pour it right in, right? Yeah. Last week, we spent the whole time moving those chicken feed. It literally took an hour to move 4 bags of chicken feed. Don't ask any questions about it. I'm not prepared to answer. Yes, Amore, I'm not asking any questions to you either. Yes, I know you're loud and annoying. What? Please don't lay on that.
You're laughing. She's your laughing.
She's gonna lay with all of her belly fur on my fresh clothes and get her fur all over them so it'll smell like her. She hates it when clothes don't smell like her.
She's not a fan of Tide.
She's not a fan of things not smelling like her.
I own this. This is mine.
Yeah. Yep. I can't brush her belly, so she knows that if she wants to get rid of belly hair, she either has to lick it up or rub it on my clothes or all of my belongings. I'm telling you, you know, you put the dryer sheet in and then you pull out the dryer lint at the end. Every single week, it's like because I only wear clothes that are black more or less, so my dryer lint is like a dark black purple color on the top, and then the bottom is just a very obvious layer of disgusting cat hair. So it's like, it's Amore's color, so it's like gray brown. It's insane how much cat hair ends up in my dryer. You're the worst. I know you know I'm talking about you because you know your name. You love hearing your own name.
Who doesn't?
I mean, I don't. I have a bunch of different names, actually. I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but almost no one calls me by my name on any of my shows.
Good plan.
I don't know that I've ever encouraged it in people. They just don't. It's pretty rare for people to even call me AP. Henley's the only person I know that calls me Arthur. And even that's pretty rare. You know, I answer to like you or hey you or guy or DM or GM or just people asking an abstract question only I would have the answer to, like, can I do this?
Better question is should.
I mean, that's a philosophical question you're asking. People are asking me mechanical questions. No one asks me philosophical questions because I'm going to be like, well, let's analyze what Carneades had to say. You have to understand that all reality is a lie. We have no ability to truly understand or trust what we see around us. We can only act in probabilities of certainty. Why what? Why what indeed? Carneades would ask himself. Why what indeed? What do we know? What can we know? Truly one of the coldest skeptics of the Greek philosophers, he still had some hope. A hope for probability. Not in statistical probability, but in probability of reality. That even if we could not truly understand what was going on around us in any way, we could understand enough that we might muddle through and live life. Yes, Carneades, a man who would go on to leave behind no writings and would only have one student. So, you know, probably not someone you really want to trust.
Ratio.
Horatio?
Stability.
Are you talking about
1-to-1?
Oh, ratio.
One teacher to one student. Yeah, you leave Horatio Hornblower alone, right?
I love Horatio Hornblower. You know, Horatio Hornblower, the BBC series, is like a recruiting ground.
Mm-hmm.
Several of the people that were in it ended up in Battlestar Galactica.
Yep. I love that show.
Yeah, well, how about the novels? Did you actually read the novels?
No, I haven't. But it's on. I think I've got it on my shortlist for Audible.
You're missing out. Horatio and the Hotspur is really fucking good, but you're never gonna do better than the first prequel novel, The Even Chance, which is where it's his first appearance, where he gets sick in at anchor in London Bay, and everyone makes fun of him for it for the rest of his career. And C.S. Forrester wrote early on in the books that had happened, but he needed to make it happen in the prequel, and it ends up being a massive duel. And well, I don't want to ruin too much, but Horatio is basically like, all right, well, I'm not a better or more skilled gunfighter, so what we're going to do is we're going to have two guns and one of them has a bullet in it, and that way I stand a chance against you, Mr. Sampson. And that's why the novel is called The Even Chance. It's a question of who has the gun with the bullet in it. It's really fucking good. I mean, a lot of the Forrester stuff is good. I don't like the later novels where he's like an admiral, but the Atropos, the Hotspur, the Justinian, several of the ships he serves on are absolutely fucking amazing stories. And the BBC did a pretty good job of adapting them to the television screen, especially the one where they go to France and get their ass kicked.
Good one. That whole school teacher or whatever her name was. Nice little love affair there.
I mean,
Complex.
you haven't read the novels, so I don't want to spoil too much, but Horatio sleeps around, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's a player.
you know those romantic novels that like your grandparents might have had somewhere on a stack.
Yeah.
And there's like some buff dude holding someone. That was basically Horatio in all of those. If there was a tall ship involved, just think of that character as being Horatio.
Horatio is always accounted for being like a very stern-eyed, short, dark-haired, dark-eyed, dark temperament, not particularly attractive character, interestingly enough.
That's what the bitches love, evidently.
Wow. Well, I don't speak for the bitches, and I in fact apologize to anyone who's being referred to as a bitches. You know, before we wrap up tonight, I just want to say one thing, is that on almost every continent, with the exception of Antarctica, dogs have been native all across the world. They're often, in almost every culture, regarded for their loyalty and great companionship, and yet, in almost every language, the word for a female dog is an insult. We really, we treat dogs very poorly compared to how they treat us. Dogs truly do not deserve humans. And humans do not deserve dogs. I just mean that in different ways. That's it for us here, because we all appear to be standing around. Paul Kahn looks like he's going to the Forestry Service. Jagmo looks like Chris is here part-timing in between his day job as a LARP Renaissance Fair guy.
I thought he was
5 days a week.
That's Aether. We're up to code.
That mustache is incredible that you've chosen, Chris. It's really something else. I feel like you might be a mustache wax salesman.
I mean, it's what I do on Saturdays and Sundays at the farmers market.
Of course.
So the mustache wax.
It's my beard. That's right, beard. Whilst I let my hair recede.
Okay. That's it for us tonight, guys. We'll be back next week. Happy Easter. Happy observance of Easter on Monday as a holiday. And, stay safe and have a good time zone. My favorite time zone is a good time zone.